then let's begin.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. So I'm really thrilled to announce our next speaker, who is one of my favorite people in the world. She's
Oh,
returning for her second talk of this web conference, Luciana Fernández. And Luciana gave a talk earlier during the Focus on the Americas region when she brilliantly showcased Argentina. Now she's back to give us a talk about the work of our web conference sponsor, National Geographic Learning, bringing the world to the ELT classroom and the classroom to life for children and teenagers. I also have the pleasure of giving a joint TED Talk in Liverpool on the 1st of April with Luciana, focused on early years learners. And so I'm so excited to be working with Luciana on that. And you should all come and join us, right, Luciana?
absolutely.
Okay,
We will be waiting for you.
we will be waiting for you all. So without further ado, take it away, Luciana.
Thank you, Joan. I'm so happy that you are the one who has just introduced me. Hello to the 91 people who are sharing this moment with me. I am thrilled, excited to be part of this wonderful web conference. I'm saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. I would really like to thank National Geographic Learning for sponsoring my talk and for supporting my work the way they do. Um, I would like some participation from all of you, if that's okay with you, because I'm going to get started with a question. And the question for all of you is, if I say National Geographic, what immediate connection can you make? Do you mind typing some answers for me? TV, amazing pictures, wildlife. I keep reading. Great pictures, pathways, world nature learning, nature, global citizens, nature, good photography, traveling, nature, animals, learning, beautiful pictures of wonderful places, animals and people, life, animals, traveling, beautiful photos. And you are so right. Thank you. Travel nature, okay, information, beautiful photos. I am really, really thankful for your answers. And this is it. National Geographic defines itself as the world and everything in it. And of course, if we say the world and everything in it, we are talking about people and civilization and history and social studies and animals and plants and transport. And of course, this is exactly how I wanted to start my talk today, because National Geographic learning has to do with materials that will help us teach English to 21st century learners. Now, so my name is Luciana Fernández. I am an academic consultant for National Geographic Learning. There's my email address in case you want me to share any other information that you might think it's relevant. And I'm going to get started with saying that in National Geographic Learning, we believe in bringing the world to the classroom and the classroom to life. What does that mean? One of you when I asked what is it that you could connect with National Geographic, you mentioned global citizens. And I thought that was a great answer. And the truth is that the children we are teaching English to today, they are citizens of the world because they live in a globalized world. And of course, their needs and demands when they come to the English classroom have nothing to do with the set of needs and demands that probably I had when I started studying English back in the 80s. When I'm talking about these needs and demands, I'm making reference to First of all, language skills. So the good news, my dear colleagues, is that we will have a job for a long time because our students need English, because English is a lingua franca, which means that it's the language that we will use to communicate with the world. But if we think that only teaching language is our job, that is where I would like to say that we are mistaken. Of course, we need to teach grammar and we need to teach vocabulary, but our students, apart from language skills, they need learning skills. They need the four C's of the 21st century. They need communication skills. They need, of course, critical thinking skills. A lot has been said in this wonderful web conference. They need creativity, of course, and they also need cultural awareness. This is what they need to thrive in this world, in this ever-changing world. So in National Geographic Learning, we believe that the world is an incredible place. And of course, we want to bring content to the classroom that our students can definitely be excited about and interested in. So the methodology that we follow in our materials is CLEAL, Content and Language Integrated Learning, which means that the content is going to be the star in our classes and language is going to be the vehicle for us to be able to read about that content, talk about that content, discuss about that content, which is, of course, related to our students' lives. Something that I would like to mention before we move any further is that all our materials are divided into thematic units. And in each of the units in all our books, the theme, which is at the heart of each of the units, is a global topic. I don't know if you have ever heard about this before, but global is a combination of global and local. And what do we mean by that? When a theme or a topic is global, students can relate personally, starting with their local reality. But then they can explore that topic as for what happens with that topic in the rest of the world, which means that they can go from local to global. But at the same time, a topic might be global in nature and very big indeed, and students might seek to find a possible solution for that problem starting with their local reality. So in that case, they would be moving from the global to the local. How amazing is that? So what we want to do by bringing the world into the classroom is, of course, bring photos and stories and ideas. We want to inspire learners. We want them to be curious. And of course, English is going to be the vehicle to be able to respond to this wonderful content. We give learners reasons to talk about their lives and move from their lives to the world to see how other people go through probably the same situations, or what is it that it is out there. There's a quote I have read somewhere saying that the new illiterate of the 21st century is that student who remains just local in their own local reality. So we need to bring the world. Luckily, probably some of our students will have the possibility to travel, but if they don't, we are bringing the world to the classroom. So, as you can see, we really bring wonderful National Geographic photographs. There's wonderful photographers really taking photographs of amazing things in the world, and we showcase all that in our books. All our units start with a unit opener, and the unit opener has the characteristic of having a title which already ignites students' prior knowledge and their prior experience and their emotions and their feelings. Just look at the example you've got on the screen. Music in a world. Music is a wonderful example of a local topic. You can get started in your classes by asking your students how they feel about music, what music they listen to, which is the typical music in the place where they live. And then, of course, you can explore what music means to other people in other places in the world. Do they listen to the same music? This is what exactly we mean by a local topic. Our goal is to help learners experience the world. A lot also has been said about all this in this wonderful web conference. How important it is that our students can actually be active and that they can be engaged and involved. In my first talk, I used the word hook, get hooked. And I think that when we bring 21st century topics which are local, topics which will allow us to see what's going on in places we've never been to, we really, really get hooked. You cannot understand the world if you don't experience it. You cannot understand the world if you don't learn about the world. And one of you in your answer to my initial question mentioned global citizenship. And of course, a global citizen is who these students we are educating need to be. They need to be citizens of the world. They need to know about the world. They need to understand how the world works. They need to know what's happening beyond their local reality. And of course, something to be said about National Geographic Learning materials is that we truly believe in authenticity. We bring authentic topics, authentic people, authentic issues, and by authentic I mean materials which haven't been designed for education but can be used in the classroom. That's why we bring, of course, opportunity for our learners to learn about National Geographic Explorers. Students will have the possibility to see photographs taken by National Geographic photographers. And there's this partnership with TED, so students will be able to work on TED Talks. For those of you who are not familiar with TED Talks, it's ideas worth spreading. We have authentic people talking passionately about something they want to share with the world. So it's not only the authenticity in the materials, but the authenticity of the people and the issues, which of course results in the authenticity of the language. The language that arises from all these situations is the same language that students will be able to use beyond the classroom walls. And of course, the characteristic of National Geographic learning materials are the spectacular images. I've had the pleasure of working with these materials, not only in my country, but mostly in Latin America. And I meet colleagues who have been using this all over the world. And we all report that students are so hooked on these images. Now, these images in our course books will not only allow our children to say what they can see, but they will be able to say what they see, what they feel, how they connect to what they see. They will be able to wonder. Their curiosity will be ignited. Many of the routines I mentioned in my first talk, of course, can be used with these wonderful photographs. So as you can see, apart from beautiful photographs, we are also featuring people who are doing wonderful things for the world. So students will have the opportunity to meet National Geographic explorers, and then of course people who are doing something to change the world where we live for good. So students will have the possibility to read and learn about the inspiring work of geologists or ecologists, scientists, because one of our missions as well is to inspire our students to do things to change whatever is not working that well in the world where they live. So we really, really, really want to inspire children and teenagers and say, okay, I would like to do something about this local or global issue. I really want to help. I am inspired by this TED speaker or by this explorer or by simply somebody who is doing something great for the world. So yeah, we bring people from all over, and there are very special sections in our books where we have the possibility, of course, to work on reading and listening, and students will be practicing their English, but at the same time, they will be learning about role models. And I'm bringing here more examples of what our unit openers look like, what photographs are included in the book, real people, real places, real issues, so that students get really, really hooked. They get really willing to learn, and most importantly, they start making connections. They become critical thinkers. They want to learn the English to be able to talk about what they see, to talk about the connections that they make. And this is what we mean by authentic material, really triggering authentic use of the language. This is another example of a unit opener. Look at that. This is what I mean by a title of a unit that really, really ignites our students' schemata. Living together. What does living together mean to me from my own previous experience and knowledge and my local reality? And what does living together mean to other people? And believe me, unit openers are so rich. Photographs are so amazing. Quotes by National Geographic explorers or TED speakers are really, really inspiring. So there's a lot of authentic use of the language really going on. This is another example from a wonderful, wonderful book for children called Our World. What's for dinner? Of course, if you start working with this title, children are going to work and talk, of course, from their local reality. But okay, I guess not everybody can get dinner from the supermarket, right? So this is what we really mean by bringing the world to the classroom. I have the experience of seeing this in action, and the children are so amazed by photographs that they really ask, is this photograph true? So if you take a photograph like this one as a language teacher, it's not only that you can ask, what can you see, but you can also ask, what can you see and what does this make you feel? If you lived, would you like to live there? Do you think it's easy for people to get their dinner in a place like this? So you start developing other skills which are very important, such as empathy and critical thinking, beyond just the mere description of a picture. So yes, it's really very inspiring and really motivating. Now, we really want to create global citizens of the world. So this is another example. I keep showing you how the local topics are true in all our materials. Food is, of course, one of the fantastic examples of a local topic. Some minutes ago, Joan was asking all of us, what is it that we were eating? And we were all, of course, I was reading some answers, and if I had had the time, I would have asked, what is that? I'm sorry, because I'm not familiar with it. My answer was that today I had asado. Unless you know about Argentina, it's a tradition to have asado on Sundays. And this is, I've got the experience of traveling, and this is what you do when you meet people. You start talking about your local reality to learn about the reality of others. And of course, you need language for that. So we want to make learning enjoyable and relevant. Again, a lot has been said about this in this web conference. And of course, we want students to be, of course, critical thinkers and problem solvers. Look at the features of our unit openers, from an igniting title to a wonderful photograph, and also quotes to ignite discussion. And of course, we want to prepare learners with 21st century skills. So all the wonderful and very necessary skills that students need to thrive in this world will be developed unit after unit in all our materials. So of course, we will be working on reading and listening and speaking and writing. But what I really, really like about National Geographic Learning materials is that everything is critical. That is critical speaking, critical reading, critical writing, and critical listening. And that makes a difference. When I say that it's critical, I'm talking about lots of opportunities for students to express their beliefs, their assumptions, their knowledge, talk about their culture, compare and contrast. In a nutshell, they will be able to use all the language functions which we use in the real world. But at the same time, I think that we are building very strong skills when it comes to multicultural awareness and empathy and understanding of others. And I am a true believer that if we are able to educate our children, they will fight for a different world, and a world in which we understand each other, where we compare and contrast ourselves with the others, but we in spite of all those differences, we can all live together. And what I like the most about these materials is that students end up understanding that there is a little bit more of what we have in common than what we are different in. And of course, we want to teach learners how to use English effectively, because as I said before, English is a lingua franca, and it's the language we are going to use to communicate. Just look at this wonderful web conference. We all come from different parts of the world, and English is bringing us together. Isn't that great? So there's plenty of materials that we have to teach very young learners, and teens. Of course, we've got a very complete curriculum of learning materials. Of course, in all our materials, as teachers, you will be able to encounter real-world stories, amazing photographs, authentic videos. Students will be able to learn about themselves and their place in the world, and how relevant it is, what they can do from their places in the world for a topic which might be global in nature. And students will be able to use English to, as I said before, express their thoughts, their ideas, their opinions with confidence. And if you unwrap all these, of course, there's grammar and vocabulary, but this is authentic use of the language. This is the classroom as a rehearsal for the language they will be using when they go out to the world. And of course, we've got programs for young learners and teenagers, creating a foundation for learning, which of course is relevant to their age and experience in the world. So it's really very important that you understand that the choice of topics in all these materials takes into consideration the age of students, because we are constantly tapping on what they already know, which means that there's no way that you can find in books for children something that they are not familiar with. We always get started with something they know, but we always make them notice that there is more to learn. And of course, our programs for young learners and teenagers, okay, will, you know that teenagers are discovering who they are, and they are trying to understand their place in the world. That is why we take the opportunity to bring role models, and we want, of course to give them plenty of opportunity for self-expression, because language, after all, my dear colleagues, is self-expression. And teenagers really want opportunities in the classroom to discuss and to say who they are, and to exchange ideas and to work collaboratively with others. It's really very important. At National Geographic Learning, we really bring the world to the classroom and the classroom to life. And of course, we also understand very well how young children learn. That's why in our pre-primary programs, there is plenty of songs, games, stories, real world content, and students really are very active class after class, learning about the rich diversity that exists in the world, becoming more and more involved into global citizenship. So this is just an example of our excellent material. Welcome to our world, of course, by fantastic John Shin and Jody Crandall, and fantastic material to begin to work on all these mandatory skills from a very early age. So in National Geographic Learning, we also, of course, get students to understand the world and be able to talk about the world, even with very limited language levels. We start giving students more and more opportunities to want to use English, to express themselves. And that can only be done when we bring topics that really ignite their curiosity. They really want to learn more about it. And the ABC of all this is that we get started from what they already know, what they are already familiar with. So this is kind of a general look at our materials for children, our world, look, wonderful world, explore our world. And if you have the chance to browse these materials, you will see that it's we are all talking about the same thing. Get enthusiastic about the world where you live, and you are part of that world. You need to be a global citizen. This is who they need to be in this brand new world, globalized world, in which you will agree with me, we are more connected than ever. Just look at what is. You tell me if you had ever imagined that you would be able to participate at a world conference by comfortably be sitting at, in this case, in my own room, talking to people from all over the world. How amazing is that? So it's not that students will need these skills just for traveling. Even if they don't travel, thanks to technology, they are connected with the world. And of course, in the case of teens, again, we are using real world content. And something which is very nice, dear teachers, is that in most of our units, we sometimes bring big questions. I don't know if you are familiar with this, but big questions or essential questions are questions for which there isn't only one answer but several. So for example, in a unit about water, you may start with the big question, where does water come from? Of course, this is a question that students will begin by answering from their own local reality. But of course, as they learn about the world, they will end up having other answers to that big question. So big questions really motivate students, really shake their schemata, as I like to say, and really not only makes them know what they know about it, but also what they don't. So we are turning on that button called volition, which means I want to know about this because I don't know. I want to learn. So This is again an overview of our material for teens, impact time zones, close up, perspective, plenty of opportunity for teenagers to really understand who they are and who they are in this world. Because bringing the world to the classroom and the classroom to life for students in the 21st century, it's more than a need, okay? I hope I've got some time for questions. Have I gone too far with my timing, Joan?
I think you have about
Oh,
1 minute. We could take maybe just
1 minute or
two minutes.
two.
If there are any questions for Luciana.
Thank you. I'm trying
Yeah, yeah.
to see if there's any question. Thank you for your comments. I've been trying to read comments as I was giving the presentation. I really would like to invite you.
Yeah, so maybe you can
Yeah,
put in your contact information if anybody wants to ask you a question or would like to know how to access these materials, then and maybe that would be
yeah.
the best way to
Actually,
get more
at the very
information.
beginning of my presentation, I gave you my email address. But of course, you can explore actually all our materials online, okay? Just writing National Geographic Learning. If you write it on Google, National Geographic Learning, and you will have an overview of all our materials. But if you're interested in any material in particular, I really invite you to write an email to me. I'm going to write it here just in case. And please, if there's anything you need to
Great.
know, you just let me know. Okay. Oh, yes, that's my email address. Thank you very much. If you happen to have any questions, thank you. Thank you so much. I really love the comment.
Thank
Thank you.
you, Luciana.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
everybody.
so much.
Thank
It was
you.
very interesting presentation. So please contact Luciana if you would like more information about any of those National Geographic